Welcome back to the Real Estate Insider Podcast, a show where we highlight the real stories behind agents who are doing this industry the right way. I'm your host, Jared Sawyer. After 22 years in the mortgage industry, I've seen firsthand how easy it is for this business to get noisy, messy, salesy, and disconnected from the people that it's meant to really serve. Today's guest cuts straight through a lot of that noise. Emeka has built his business around education, trust, and long-term client comfort, even what that means slowing deals down or telling clients some hard truths or holding them by the hand and taking them to the grocery store. His perspective on work ethic and his story is going to bring a genuinely different angle to the industry. And I think it's really important. So go ahead and tune in for this one. You're not going to want to miss this. Beyond just being a great guy, Emeka's a really good realtor who's grown his industry from just 7 deals his first year to nearly 40 in his second year, which is saying a lot in and of itself. But he also does a great job putting relationships first and hosting no pressure buyer events to help clients navigate real affordability in today's market, which is not always an easy thing to do. So enough said there. Emeka, thank you so much for making time to come on, man. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely, brother. So tell me a little bit about your story, because I think it's important to kind of hear where you come from and how that influences how you handle your business.
Yeah, my name is Emeka Njoku. I was born in Nigeria, moved to the US for school. After school, just kind of navigated my way through several fields. I ended up in real estate. Like we spoke before, I was in mortgage. That's where I found myself after graduation. And during that, I think that kind of set the foundation of what I do today as a realtor, which is crucial. But again, coming from Nigeria, where you had to buy houses cash, you had to save up the cash that you need to buy houses. So when I came to the US, it was just a no-brainer to help people around me to just kind of navigate through this process where you can buy a house with as little as zero down, but in most
Right.
cases, 3.5%. So it's an exciting opportunity. It's an exciting career, and I truly enjoy what I do.
That's great, man. So 7 deals your first year. Some people watching this are going to go, that's one heck of a good start, man, to the whole career path there. To nearly 40 in year 2. I mean, that's a humongous jump. That doesn't really happen by accident, right? You got to be intentional with what you're doing. So what really changed between your first year doing real estate and that second year?
Honestly, let me not make it sound so easy because the first year was rough. Coming from the mortgage side of it, I was doing lending operations management and jumping into real estate. I thought like as soon as I announced, because I have a decent social media following, I was thinking as soon as I announced that I was in real estate, I have a license, the deals will be just
Start
jumping
coming
in.
in.
Like people just hit me up and say, "Hey, I want to buy a house." That didn't happen. I think for like 4 or 5 months, I had like 0 deals.
Oh, man.
And then I realized, you know what? It's just like saying, hey, I just got my driver's license. People don't want to trust you to drive them anywhere, right? Because
That's a good,
one,
it's a good
they,
comparison. Yeah.
this is the biggest investment, of my life. I don't want to trust a rookie to handle that. So I had to partner with people like title companies, my lending, partners to say, hey, we need to educate people. We need to bring people in a room where they can ask all the questions that they have without making a commitment to any of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because when I was in lending, one of the worst things that would happen is we decline people, we send them this generic paper and that's it, they go about their way. And during that period, I was thinking like, where do these people go? Like, what happens next, right? Because we put like this fear in that person now that they might not, you know, go apply for loan again. So we started like this real estate networking events every like I think it was last Saturday, started as last Saturday of the month, where people would just come in the place, introduce themselves. We had lenders, we had insurance companies, inspection companies, title companies, and they just ask questions. It's a no commitment questions, and it was pretty fun because we get some sponsors that would sponsor drinks and food, and it was good, right? And then at that point, I realized that most people don't know as much as we think they do. People need that holding hand without feeling like they need to buy tomorrow. Right. So that was the biggest change for me, is because now I'm building relationship with people that can call me and ask questions before they even get to a point where they're ready to buy. Some of them are ready to buy. They're thinking they need 10%, 20% now. Some think they need 800 credit score. And some of them think, hey, I just bought a house. I'm not going to be able to buy another one for a while. So being able to debunk all those things and hold your hand kind of made a big difference. I think that was like, a massive jump. And also being able to have lenders that can come to my office, do a pre-approval at my office, right? Or
Yeah.
meet a client face to face and explain things to them like, hey, this is what your rate look like. These are options to buy those rate down. These are, if you don't qualify, this is why, like giving them that reason why, and what you could possibly do about it. Some people it's as little as like trading in your car,
Right.
it's something that simple, your car payment is too high, or something in your profile that the bank didn't like. And most of those things can change within a couple months. And I think that's what changed. And I think that was a light bulb moment, is just being able to give people something before you ask for their business.
I think that's really important. I love what you nailed on there because there's a lot of valuable stuff in there, and I don't know if people watching are going to get it all. They're gonna have to go back through and probably watch it a couple more times because that was absolute gold. Being able to build a community within your business structure where you have these variable experts that come in to kind of speak to this without it being a sales pitch. I mean, education is so important in real estate just because people don't do this every day. They need
Yeah.
to know, they need to be able to ask those questions and ask it openly without fear of judgment or getting denied or something along those lines, just so they know where they stand. I mean, and you talked about making people feel very comfortable. What are some of the ways you're getting around payment shock? Because I deal with that in my industry too, where I'm talking to a client, they're paying rent, and you're paying 1,400, 1,500 bucks a month, whatever it is, and then
Mhm.
they want to go buy a $500,000 home. The payment's gonna be a lot more than 500K.
Way more.
Yeah. So how do you position that, or maybe kind of shepherd somebody through that process of understanding, hey, this is going to be a difference. What's your approach with that?
I think one, just understanding what their goal is. A lot of real estate agents just want to sell your house. One of the things that you should do for your clients is understand what their goal is. Like, why are you trying to buy a house? What is your ultimate goal? Is this like you want to move your whole family into one place? Is it, are you looking for something to grow equity with? Is it a young guy, that's tired of renting, right? And in that case, I would say, hey, why don't we go into like, a multi-unit? That way you can possibly rent one of them to bring the payment down, right? This scenario is just having to have that seat, like open conversation where you're not afraid of losing the sell. There's some situations where I've advised clients, this might not be for you. Going from $1,500 a month to 3,500 may not be the best investment opportunity. Why don't we wait for rates to come down, or why don't we wait for the right opportunity? Like, okay, I can take them to new builders, like the new construction where the builders are willing to buy your rate down by a lot,
Mm. Yep.
to just kind of help with that. So let's sit down and weigh the option. And also there are people that they don't care, right? They are ready to make that jump into owning, a property. But as long as you've had that conversation with them, I think you walk away feeling good.
Yeah. No, I agree. And how hard is it though? I mean, because if you get somebody that is super engaged and they're very
Mhm.
motivated to buy, but you're picking up, man, we got to slow this down a little bit. I don't know if these guys are quite ready. How hard is that conversation to have with that
That is
client?
hard. That is hard. And that's hit my productivity hard, especially last year, right? Because we've seen people in the past that are struggling with payments, right? Where we're having to go in and say, hey, what is the best option going forward? Do you need to sell? Do you need to rent it out? Do you need to Airbnb, furnished rental? What do you need to do to keep this going? Me, I've not bought a lead yet. So far, I'm thankful for a knock on
That's
wood.
good.
I've yet to buy leads. I'm gonna, venture into that. But I build my business based on referrals. So if I can treat one customer well, I know potential deals will come from that. So it is hard. It's really, really hard. And if you're a struggling agent, that might be the hardest thing you would do as an agent, is telling somebody like, this might be very tough for you to do, especially you're looking at, again, this is where having an agent that has either a lending relationship or lending background makes sense. Because if your client is running on like paycheck to paycheck, yeah, they might be able to qualify for that property, but now they're having to double their payment.
Mhm.
There's a disaster coming
Sure.
down the pipeline. And with my clients, it's a long-term relationship. I have people that call me for clean and say, Do you know any cleaners?
Yeah.
They call me 6 months, 7 months. Hey, what's my warranty? My microwave is now working. So I like to keep that relationship as strong as possible by making sure they know what the option is. Now, again, like I said earlier, there's going to be clients that they know that the reality and they still want to jump into it. You help them make the best of it.
Sure.
But it is hard. It is difficult.
Well, of course, the inherent job is client wants to buy a home. I want to get them into the home. But I think you do a really good job of pausing on that, showing a lot of integrity with your clients and letting them feel comfortable enough where they look at you not just as a real estate agent, but
Mhm.
an advisor, a friend. So how's that mindset paid off? Because I know a lot of agents, they get in, they're very like, I want to get going, I want to close this deal, I want to get going. But I
Yeah.
think you touched on something that's really, really important. Kind of show them the other side of that, of slowing down a little bit and how that's paid off for you really in the long run.
Correct. And also, like with down payments, right? Right now, the economy is very uncertain, right? We're
Mm,
all trying to figure out, make sense of it, right? So, if a client has a lot of money for down payment, but they're gonna have that payment shock, how can we work to reduce that down payment that they want to do, right? As long as it doesn't impact their payment. I have some clients that are like, hey, I want to put 50,000 down, but this is the situation. Okay, why don't we see if we can get something with less down, right? Maybe have the seller pay your closing costs. Have the builder pay your closing costs. Again, the money you can leave in their pocket, walking away, amazing. And I'm gonna say this because I know some of my listeners are gonna be like, no. You have clients that are well to do that don't care. Yes, I have those clients that come around, they're like, hey, I want to put half a million down. I want to put 100,000 down. This is the situation. They are savvy buyers. Those are amazing deals. When you get those deals, those are amazing deals. They are more educated. What I'm referring to are like the first time home buyers, the ones that are buying for the second time. They don't quite have the grip on what's happening in the market. I
sure.
think it's important as an agent for you to partner with your lender. If you don't have a lending partner, find one. They are like everywhere. Walk into a bank and they will they would definitely take you on. But yeah, I think it's important that you sit down with them and you have a lender that you can pick up the phone and call and walk through scenario with them before anything happens.
Absolutely. As a lender, I can also attest if somebody knocks on my door and wants help, I'll be more than happy to spend time with them. So yeah,
Yeah.
that happens. But I think the education piece for what you're talking about is really, really important. And I wanna highlight this with you real quick. So kind of take me through what the events look like that you host and really why those matter.
So these events are again, it's a happy hour. I used to call it a real estate happy hour, but then I realized like more people want to come to it, so I opened it up. Cocktail. It's called Cocktail and Mingle. So typically, we'll come in a room. Everybody introduce, like as far as my partners, they introduce themselves and what they do, and we encourage people to ask any question. It doesn't have to be about real estate, right? There's this thing that we do where we ask you to introduce yourself, what you do, what you're looking for as far as like resources and what resources you have that you can offer to anybody in the room, right? So we have some business owners that are like, hey, I'm an insurance agent. I can, go through your policy and see if you're overpaying, or have people that braid hair. Like there's so many people, right? We've gotten to a point where we have tax prep people come in, accountant, and they want to
Yeah.
give free advice on like how you should structure your business, things like that. Title companies coming in to talk about how to hold your title, right? If you're married, not married, if you're going into it with people. And one of the things that I've realized is people don't, I don't know if it's just me, or people don't understand that you don't have to do this yourself. You don't have to buy. If you're a young person listening to this, you don't have to wait till you get all the money in the world to buy real estate by yourself. Buy a 2 unit with your friend and you guys split the mortgage. You don't have to be really, like you could do that with somebody. We have plenty of friends that are in the same situation. Join forces to do that. So that's what I'm encouraging the people, the younger audience now. Is like, hey, listen, if you're like in your 20s, you can afford mortgage on your own. Find somebody that you trust, that you've known for a while. Join forces with them and see what you guys can do. I honestly believe for foreigners, it's a little bit more sentimental, right? Because you come here as a foreigner and now you have the opportunity to buy a piece of America. That's the way I look at it. You have the opportunity to buy a piece of your own piece of America, right? And you have the opportunity to do it with very little money out of your pocket. Why would you not take advantage of that?
I love the way you put that. That's so yeah, that's great, man. That is so inspiring. Yeah. I love that. I think you're right. People need to have that, not just foreigners. I mean, but even people like myself that are born and raised here. Being able to understand like the advantage and the opportunity of that, I think kind of gets overlooked a lot in our culture. And like you said, I think foreigners maybe have a little bit different of a distinction there, where they're like, hey, I have an opportunity to buy a little bit that
Yeah,
belongs to me. I mean, that's such a powerful statement in and of itself. Really. Shifting gears a little bit. So last time we talked, you said you pulled back from social media a little bit just because
yeah.
you didn't feel like it was all authentic and good. And I know that maybe be counterintuitive in the real estate industry. So I like to hear radical ways of people kind of finding different ways through it. So walk me through kind of your approach there and why you kind of pull back from social media a little bit.
I think real estate has to be the most flamboyant, career out there, and there's so many cringe, like videos that I see on a day-to-day basis that make what we do so easy and glamorous. It's not. Your real estate agent can decide where you live. Like the house you end up with, it's probably gonna be based on what he found, right?
Sure.
So, and the issues you have down the line with that house, he can minimize those issues. Your interest rate could be determined by who lender he introduces you to or she introduces you to. So I think social media just kind of make it seem like what we do is just we open doors, we dress in suits, and we pull up in G-Wagon, and we have like stupid amount of money, from every single deal. And that's far from reality. I think for most agents, for majority of agents, if you're closing one deal a month, they are great. They're doing good. It's not that glamorous. So I had to pull back to figure out like, what do I really want to put out there? Do I want to contribute to this flamboyant, trend where real estate agents are like almost like I don't even know if it's comedy. I don't know what it is. It's insane. So I think I had to pull back a little bit because I found myself in that trend too, where I'm posting closings and all of this, and I don't show like the back end of things. They me pulling up with cleaners to clean the house, before a listing, finding painters to paint the place, like there's so many things that go wrong. You can go into a listing, the place is flooded, you have to find plumbers. There's so many things that are not shown, right? And nobody really takes time to show that backside of it. So a lot of people go into real estate thinking, oh, as soon as I get a license, it's over. I'm getting a G-Wagon. you know, that's not reality. What I would say is this, for those people that are grinders that care and truly enjoy real estate as a whole, if you go to my For You page, it's all real estate. It's all cars and real estate and like, architecture because that's what I enjoy, right? If you enjoy this, it's one of the most rewarding careers because you're helping people into like with the biggest investment of their career, of their life, right? And this is something that they could possibly pass down to generations. This is something that could help jumpstart their portfolio, their investment portfolio. So yeah, I had to scale back a little bit from the madness that's going on there, and I'm sure you've seen
Oh
it.
yeah. Yeah. Instagram and TikTok can be a wild place sometimes, man. Yeah. It's
It's entertaining, but that's not reality.
sure.
And I don't think people understand that that's not reality.
Yeah, and there's always that outside perspective. So, with you being authentic and really showing the nitty gritty, which there's a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff that's just not sexy that just has to go get done and
Mhm.
is vital to success in building a business. For a newer agent kind of coming in and they want to build something sustainable and long lasting, what would your advice be to them in the first 6 months, 12 months in the industry?
I would say just make sure everybody on your contact list knows that you're an agent, that you're not just licensed, but you're practicing and you're doing everything, which means you have to message them, drop a flyer at their house, have, host happy hours, show up at open houses, invite every single one. Open houses are free. Open houses, call agents that have listings and they will let you host open houses, invite all your friends. Because here's my promise to agents. Somebody within your sphere of influence is buying a house this year. And if you don't push, they're going to use somebody else. So you have to push. Make sure, like, don't worry about buying leads. Don't worry about all these crazy marketing, gimmicks, you know a lot of people. Make sure those people know that you're an agent. Make sure the people they know that you're agent, so that when those conversation comes up, your name is the first thing that comes up in the conversation. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
No,
I would definitely, and
that's
build your business with integrity. Like that's that way. If you sell a house to somebody and somebody they know wants to buy a house, if your name doesn't come up, then you're not doing your job as an agent.
it's a hard truth, but it's the truth. It's important for you to do a good job for your clients so that they want to speak highly of you to their
Right.
friends and family and coworkers and whoever, right? I mean, that's really the visions. Not a dark turn to it, but I always like to ask this question when we start wrapping up. So down the road, way in the
Mhm.
future, we're at a celebration of life for Mika. People are passing around a microphone, telling stories. What do you want to be remembered as? What do you kind of want the theme to be when people are looking back at you and going, man, Amika was
Wow, that's a question that I try to avoid a lot.
I put you on the spot, man.
That's a quick. I think like, I grew up, my grandparents were community leaders, and they worked effortlessly. And I mean, like they passed on, to make sure that they built resources for people. They make sure they gave platform to people that couldn't, get on their feet, to make sure that they shared what they had, the knowledge
Mhm.
that they had, the resources that they had, because at the end of the day, you can accumulate all the wealth you want in this world. When you die, you die. You're dead. That's it. You're done. So being able to share what you know with the people around you and help them get on their feet, it's a very rewarding thing. So I want to recruit more agents. I want to mentor. I mentor a lot of agents that are serious. If you're just coming to wear suits and driving G wagons, I might not be the guy for you.
Might not be the
But
fit.
nothing against G-Wagon, by the way. I don't want to sound like I don't. I,
Mercedes isn't watching this, so don't worry. We're okay. Yeah.
I'm a Mercedes guy. Mercedes sponsor me.
Even better.
But I think as a community guy, as a community leader, somebody that helped others get to where they need to be.
Oh, that's beautifully put, man. So if people are watching this and they want to connect with you for advice as an agent, mentorship, partnership, or somebody's watching this and they're like, man, I would love to work with this guy. I need to find my
Yeah.
next home or I need to sell my home. How can they find you?
You can find me. I'm big on Instagram. So Instagram is my main platform. It's Prince Emeka. So Prince Emeka, or one word. You can call me. My all my information is on that page.
Perfect. And I'll
Yeah,
make sure to list your information here in the description. So if people are watching this
definitely.
and they wanna physically look at something, I'll get them something on there.
Definitely.
Amika, thank you so much for making time today to come on and kind of share your story and your heart and what really goes into you. It's been a pleasure talking to you, man.
Thank you.
Viewers, if you like what you see here, like and subscribe. Reach out to Amika if you're looking for somebody with a lot of integrity that'll just be real with you and tell you how it is. Until then, goodbye and take care.
Thank you for hosting me. I appreciate you.
Thanks for coming on, man.
All right.